Hey everybody, so today I thought we could color this super cute Tallulah in her tutu image by Stamping Bella. And this is a new card kit in the store, so if you're wanting to get that, head over and grab one. Remember, my card kits are limited, so if you want one, don't wait, always get it right away. Today I'm also going to try something new. I always put the supplies and the credits at the end of the video, but I got a new link thing, so I'm going to try to put them with links down in the description box too, so if you want to check that out, you can. We'll see how that works out. So I've stamped my image on Neenah 80-pound Solar White cardstock with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. So let's color. So I'm going to start out by outlining my image, and for that I'm going to use C0, and it's nothing's fancy. I'm just going to go all the way around, and I'm going to put ground underneath of my elephant, so I'm just going to start right here at the side of her leg. And I'm just going to, I'll go all the way around, and I'm not too worried about this little ruffle. I'm just going to go bump it in there, and if it gets on it, that's fine. It's going to be blue, so we're going to cover it up. Okay, we're going to go up here, around her little ear, and up here, clear around her cute little crown. And we're going to go back down to the other side. Up around her nose. And again, don't worry about that ruffle. I just try to get as close as I can. If I get some on it, that's fine. And back down here to the bottom. Whoops. Well, back down here to the bottom where the ground is going to start. And we're going to go up here, go around my balloon. Do my strings, and back down like that. Next, let's go ahead and add the ground. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to use E44, 43, 42, and my colorless blender. And I'm going to start with E44. I'm going to put that where I want it to be the darkest. I'm going to turn it a little bit so I can flick a little bit. And I'm going to go put a little line right next to her tail. And I'm going to do the other side. And let's go ahead and go right underneath her fanny here. And I'm going to bring it out a little bit past my little gray line that I have over here. And then I'm going to do the same thing for this side. And we're going to go past that line over here. Okay, and then I'm going to grab E43 next. And I want to go right over the top of that. So I'm going to touch down on top of my 44. And I'm just going to use my little flicking motion. I'm going to flick that color out here. And I like how it's a little bit thicker over here towards where I first start. And then as I bring my pencil out, whoops, I colored out, so that's okay. We're just going to connect that line there. My hand automatically lifts up, so it gets a little bit lighter as it comes away. And we're going to do the same thing for this side. I think I'll bring this out just a little bit more. Okay. Then I'm going to go with E42. Same thing, I'm going to touch down on top of my 43 somewhere. And we're just going to flick that out. And I think I'll bring my line up here onto where her leg is a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to do this side. Same thing over here. I'm going to bring it up above her leg a little bit. And let's bring our line down here past her tail just a tad. And I didn't cut mine out yet, so it may be on yours a little bit closer to where the cutout is. Next, I'm going to take my colorless blender, and I'm just going to go over the edges. Soften those just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit more shadows in. So I'm going to take my E44 back again, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add a little bit more of that on right next to her. I don't want it to be quite so faded. Let's do the same thing for this side. Just a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit there at the end of her tail. And I'm just going to leave that like that. Alright, so next let's color our elephant, and for that we're going to use W5, W3, W1, and W00. And let's start up here at her head. And so I'm going to start with my W5, and I want to add some lines on her ears first. So I'm going to use some of the little curves that are already here. First I'm going to go right down the side here where it looks like her ear is touching her head, and just add a little bit right there on the side. Okay, and then she's got a few little bumps on her ear that I want to add some lines to, like this one that goes in. Give that a little dab of a spot. And this one a spot. And let's do this section. And let's go, and I'm turning it so that I can get a really, just use the very end of my pen. I'm trying to draw a really skinny line. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing for this side. So again, I'm going to go right next down to her head, where it looks like it's touching her body. Okay, and then let's add some dips on this one. Looks like it's kind of dipping in right here. And this section looks like it dips. And I'm going to actually bring this section here out just a little bit more, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to grab W3. And let's go back over here, and I want to brush over those lines. I want to soften them up, so let's go up here and add a little bit up here. And I'm going to brush over each one of these little lines. And this one. And I'll do the same thing for this side. And then W1. And I'm going to leave a little bit of white right there. And oops, filled that in. So I left a little bit of white on the top of her ear and just at the top of this fold right here. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. Oops, turn my ear around here. I can't brush that way very well. And brush over some of these lines. And then leave a little bit of white at the top of her ear there. And then we're going to fill it in with W00. And then depending on how heavy you were with your pen the first time through, you may want to go back and redo the whole thing starting with W5 and just go back through the colors and darken it up. But I think mine looks pretty good, so I'm going to leave it like that. And now I'm going to start on her head. So I'm going to do this first wrinkle right here where her neck is up here to the top. So again, I've grabbed my W5 and let's just add, and she's got some lines already there for me, so I'm going to use those. And same up here, got some lines already there. And I'm going to turn her a little bit so I can do this side. And again, see that cute little line the artist put there for us? Love that. Let's follow that little line. Then I'm going to go with W3. I'm going to go ahead and start down here, and I want to bring my line over here across her neck a little bit. And let's work our way up here. Same thing there. I want to bring my line more into the middle. And I'm going to work my way on this side. And let's just bring this up here. Like that. Then we're going to get W1. And I want to fill in some more of that space. I'm going to leave a little bit in the middle there so she can have a little highlight. And at the top of her head. And same for this side. I'm going to brush over this middle section so that it can soften my line up. And then I'm going to leave a little bit on her back right there. And again at the top of her head. And I'm going to fill that all in with my W00. And brush this side, brush this way. And again, if you wanted it darker, you'd go back over it. So next I'm going to go down here and do this little section here. So I've grabbed my W5, and I'm going to go ahead with my line from this way, and I'm going to pull that down and connect it down here to our little tutu. So it's a little bit dark on this side. And I'm just going to run my pen along her tutu, and there's some little lines here already. I'm just going to use those and just add some shadows on her little wrinkles. And work my way across. And let's go ahead and do over here for this one. I want to go ahead and go up the side of her body again over here. Connect it with this little line we already had. And then she's got a couple little sketchy lines in here. I'm going to go ahead and add those in. Give her a little bit more shadows there. And then I'm going to grab W3, and we want to go right over the top of that. And so let's go ahead and start down here. And I want to brush right up here along the side. We want to soften that line. So I'm going to pull that in. I'm going to brush over some of these and fill those all the way in. And we're going to go down here at the bottom. Now I want to make sure that I brush over each one of these little lines that I went up, because I want to soften those up for the next color. And then again, we want to do this side over here. Then we'll grab W1. We want to pull that in and leave a little white streak in the middle. And same for this side. Brush right up that. Maybe a little bit more over here. Okay, that's looking good. And then W00 to fill it in. Brush up here just a little bit more. Alright, I'm liking that, except for right here. Let's see if we can brush this just a little bit. Okay, I'm liking how that looks. That looks good. So next, let's do our trunk. So again, I've grabbed my W5, and I'm going to go right along the underside of her trunk just with the tip of my pen and put a little bit of color in there. And then I want to go down the underside, and she's got some lines there, so I'm going to go ahead and go just a tiny dabby line and then grab each one of those. And then I'm going to go with W3. You want to soften your edge. W1. And W00 to fill it in. Like that. Now let's move down here to the bottom section. So I'm going to do this section right here underneath of her tutu first, and I'm going to go ahead and I've grabbed my W5, and I'm going to turn it here so I can flick a little bit better. And I want to add some shadows right here along the edge. So I'm touching down right on the edge of her body, and then I'm flicking away from that so that my strokes get smaller as I go out. Like that. So it's way skin darker over here, and then as I flick out, my pen lifts up and it gets lighter out here towards the end. I'm going to turn and do the same thing on the other side. And let's see here. Add a little bit right here. She's got her little wrinkle right there. Okay. I'm actually going to go, because it's kind of an odd angle right here, I'm going to put my line down first so I don't have to get quite so close to the edge. Like that. And then I'm going to go with W3. And I'm going to pull that color into the middle a little bit more. And we're going to do this side. Try doing it then this way. Work a little bit better for me. And I'll do this side just a little bit more over here. Okay. And then let's do W1. I'm still flicking in from the inside. And we're going to do this side. And that ruffle's going to be a dark blue or a turquoise blue, so I'm not worried if I got some on there. And this is W00. Okay, and I'm going to leave it like that, even though there's a little line, because I'm going to have a feeling I'll have to come back after I add this bottom section. Okay, so now I'm going to grab W5 again, and let's do from her tail right here this way first. So I'm going to add a little bit of shadow right next to her tail, and then I'm going to use just the tip of my pen to go along her butt. And then I want to pull this line from her leg kind of up a little bit to where it kind of curves up. Okay, and the same thing for this side. We're going to add a little shadow right next to her tail. And then I'm going to go just a little skinny line right along the bottom there. And again, right up the side of her leg a little bit. And there's a little crease right here. I'm going to add a little bit of dark right there in that little crease. Okay, and then I'm going to go with W3. And I want to pull my line up a little bit, so let's go right along here. And brush this. Okay, and then let's do this side. And then W1. And let's do this side. Kind of connect this right here where it kind of, her leg kind of dips up. And I think I'll do the same thing over here. I'm just going to brush down that. Try to flick in so I don't have quite such a harsh line right here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now, W00, fill it in. Let's go over here and add some to her leg and to this leg. And then I want to flick in from the side here. I know I was going to have to do something here where I kind of converged with the bottom down here. And then for her tail, I just colored it all the way in. So now I'm thinking that I need to take my W1 and go back and add a little bit more my shadow in here and help soften that line up just a little bit. So I'm going to put a little bit more of my ink down. And then grab my W00 to soften that again the next time. Okay, I'm liking how that looks. Now, you may have to go over it a second time. It just depends on how you want your elephant to look. It may need more blending. It just is up to you. I'm liking it like this, so I'm going to leave it like that. So next, let's work on the ruffle, the little netting or whatever it is underneath of her ruffle there. And for that, we're going to use BG07, 05, 02, and 000. And I'm going to start with my BG07. And I don't use these colors very much, so I'm going to pop the other end off of my pen so that I don't accidentally get a big blob. And I'm going to take my W7, or sorry, my BG07, and I want to just do a small line right underneath where her little ruffle touches the tutu. Because, yeah, this pen's very wet. I hardly ever use it. So just barely touching the paper is just making a great big line. And if you've seen the blog, I've actually, when I posted this to make my card, I made a big old pink blob with the next color after I was all done finished coloring, and it was working on just the very last color, and it made this huge spot on there that I could not take off, so I had to start all over. So that even happens to me. I was very angry. I'm like, oh no. But then I got to color again. She looked even better the second time, so worked out pretty good. Okay, and I just work my way over to that side like that. Put the cap back on that end. Then I'm going to grab BG05, and I think I use this one a little bit more. So I'm going to try to be safe and I'm going to wing it. We're going to hope it doesn't make a mess. I'm just going to work my way across. I just want to soften that line up. So I'm just brushing right along the edge of the last color I put down. And then I'm going to go with BG02. I want to leave a little bit of space in the middle of my little light highlighted area there. Go right along the edge. Dab, dab, dab. And then I'm going to fill it in with BG000. And brush back over this way, like so. And we also have this balloon up here, so let's go ahead and do that. And so I'm going to take my BG07 first, and I'm going to give a little dab dab right at the edge, and up these cute little lines there. And then I'm going to go with BG05. And then BG02. And BG000 to fill it in. And after I got all done with the card, I added some glossy accents to my balloon to give it some shine. Next, while we're up here, let's go ahead and do our crown, and for that we're going to use Y26 and Y23. So I'm going to start with my Y26, and I'm going to, because there's some streaks over here on this side, I'm going to make that side my darkest side. So I'm going to do a line right next to her head, and then go right up this side of her little crown and cover up those little slashes. And then I'm going to take my Y23 and fill it in. So that leaves us with this cute little ruffle, and for that I'm going to use RV 29, 25, and 23. And again, these are colors I hardly ever use. They're very, very bright. And so I'm going to start with my RV 29, and I've pulled both ends off my pen so I can try to avoid making a mess. And then I'm going to use this just to add a few shadow lines to my skirt. So she's got some lines there already for me, so I'm going to try to follow some of those. And I'm actually trying not to touch the little white dots. But yeah, just barely touching the paper with my pen, it just blobs out. So you have to be really careful if these are pens you don't use very much. And then I'm going to go with RV25, and again I'm going to pull the other end of my pen off so I don't try not to make a mess. Actually, I need to go, I think I'll add a little bit to this line right here. Bring it down all the way. Okay, now RV25, and I want to color over the line so I can soften it up. And again, it's really wet because I don't use them very much. Down this way, and then a little bit over here, and then RV23 to fill it in. Trying to be careful going around my dots. This one's at least a little bit lighter, so if you get some on there, we can take our color to Splendor like I did on that one. And we're going to, oops, that was a complete dot. I just colored the whole thing in. We can erase it. Go right around all of these. Okay, like that. And then I'll take my colorless Splendor on that dot that I just completely covered and just give it a quick dab on some of these. Oops, where's that one? Oh, here's one. Like that. And then if you wanted your tutu to be darker, you would just go back over it a second time. So there is our Tallulah in her tutu all colored up. Doesn't she look super cute? And here is the finished card. I had to go with the pinks. I just love the pinks. So I added some glossy accents to this little balloon right here. And then I did my Spica pen all over this little tutu. I just swirled around in these little lines that are already here in the netting, and then I colored each one of these little dots. You can either put some stickles on there. I just took my Spica pen and colored each little circle so it had some sparkles, and same with her crown. So if you're interested in this kit, head over to the store and grab it up, and I'll put a link hopefully down in the description box. We're going to try that out today. And I hope you had fun coloring with me today. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Bye.